It's the Pink Popcast, starring Benji Jones. He keeps up with the Kardashians. And Josiah Rizzo. He likes movies with subtitles in them. They don't always agree, but you'll never be bored. Or your money back, guaranteed.
All right. We're back. Look at us. Hey, guys. And somebody's opening a damn soda in the middle of my sentence, but that's fine. You know what? Actually, I can't do this. What if I literally just got up and left and never talked to you again?
You don't have that issue that my sister has, do you?
What's that?
I can't remember what it's called.
The not liking, like, hearing people eat and like, slurp and stuff? No, that doesn't bother me. I'm a loud eater.
All right, so welcome back to the Pink Popcast.
A pop culture podcast where we debate about pop culture subjects, right?
We argue. Benji and I argue about
I like
pop
to
culture.
say debate, you know.
Okay, debate's
it's a little
nice
bit
word.
more friendly, a little bit more cash.
Who are you?
Benji.
And who am I? Rizzo. I'm
Yeah, he's
introducing.
like, I mean, who are you?
You don't know who's listening.
Hey, guys.
What are we debating today, Benji?
Today we have to talk about, I think, actually, it probably shines a light on two separate issues that we have that we're on opposite spectrums of.
Oh, jeez. You took a breath. I don't know if you went, we have to.
We're here to talk about a show that calls attention to both of our codependency issues.
I don't have
my issues with codependency and your issues without it.
Okay. All right.
With hating it.
Right. Okay. Continue.
Today we're talking about Friends,
Mm-hmm.
the TV show.
And
the fact that Josiah, Mr. Rizzo here, hates the show. I know. We should add booze right there for you.
boo.
One guy.
Ha ha.
You hate the show because, well, why? Tell us, please.
I don't like the show Friends because it taught me a lot of shitty lessons as a kid that I later took to heart. And then on top of that, on top of my own bitterness, as I go back to it, it's overrated. And it is not that funny. Like, it's okay, but it's not that funny. People lose their shit over Friends the same way they lose their shit over the 80s. They're just like, oh, it was the greatest thing ever be invented. People who like Friends and Seinfeld might as well be in the same category because they're both shows about overaged people acting like underaged assholes, and we're supposed to think that it's adorable. Oh, look, Ross is a creep. Ross stalks women. Isn't that cute? Ross can't get over the fact that a woman said no. Oh, so cute. Look at Chandler. Chandler hates transvestites. Chandler's like, isn't that funny? Joey. Joey fucks anything that has legs. Isn't that cute? Phoebe. Ugh. She's a mess. Rachel. Ross. About the only one that I actually identify with.
Monica's the worst one. What are you talking about? But Monica would be you.
Yes.
You would be Monica.
That's why Monica, being a kid is wanting to be Joey or Chandler, and growing up is realizing
you're Ross.
You're Ross or Monica. You're just like, God dang it.
I think growing up is wanting to be Joey and then realizing you're Chandler.
I think a lot of people
Chandler's-
want to be Chandler.
Chandler's fun, but he's sad.
Well, all of those characters, it's funny because everyone's always just like, who are you? I'm a this, I'm a that. And it's like, these are characters that are at minimum fun to watch and observe. But it's like, no one wants to be a gorilla in a caged zoo. Like, they're fun to watch, but no one wants to be that like caged animal that has its life taken away from it and is lame.
I don't understand what you're saying there.
My analogy is that it's fun to watch things, but you don't want to be this thing that you're watching. And people are like, oh, those Friends are so great, but you don't actually want to be a Chandler. You don't want to be a Ross. Do you?
I would love to be.
God, they're the worst.
I would love to be in Friends. I would love to be my own version of a Friends character in my own life of Friends. That is why I told you can't live more than 8 minutes away from me, because then that would ruin our friend dynamic of me just being able to walk in whenever.
Well, I feel like this brings up the second point that you wanted to bring up, and which is what?
Which is, what do friends owe each other?
They don't.
Because you seem to think friends don't owe each other anything. What's the point of friendship if not to be there for another person and let them be there for you, like they've been there before?
I was like, wait, is that the lyrics? So here's my thing. That's great in a Disney film, but the problem is friends are just other humans with other shitty personality quirks and traits. And then they try to project that onto you. And then somehow the only thing that's binding their shitty attitude over you, like, is this idea of friendship. And what? I'm sorry. Am I exposing some deep-seated sadness that's, hidden? No. Well, it's just like, so, okay.
That's such a shitty way to look at friendship. Like, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about a good friendship. I'm talking about two good people.
All right, well, give me an example.
An example. Us.
Example.
I'll give you an example of a good friendship. But just I'm not talking about hypothetical friendships of these are two bad people that are siphoning off of each other, using each other. I'm talking about just your average two good people in a friendship.
All right, well, what do you think? What do you think they owe each other?
Everything.
What? All right, give me an example, not of a good friendship. Obviously, we have a good friendship, but give me an example of something you think that we owe each other, because you seem to be pretty hot about this right now.
I just think that I should have a key to your apartment.
No.
You see this?
I have a key set up underneath the front of the house. Here's the thing. I don't like the idea of people just showing up in my apartment without me knowing.
See, you wouldn't ever want to just be hanging out at your apartment chilling, and then your best friend just walks in and is like, "Hey, what's up? Let's hang out." Surprise.
I need a lot. No, because who knows emotionally where I'm at? I might be completely just in a funk. People think, "Oh, that's just a great time. Oh, you're feeling low. Well, that's a great time for me to insert my big obnoxious personality."
Right.
into your sphere. And I'm like, no, maybe I want to sulk. Maybe I want to sit in the corner and sulk like a sad cat. I don't know. There's a meme about a sad cat, right? No, sad Keanu. That's right. Maybe I want to be a sad Keanu right now. And I don't need somebody opening up a door to a bunch of canned laughter, saying some stupid catchphrase.
A bunch of what?
Canned laughter. I was making a joke like it's a reality show. Not a reality show, it's a sitcom.
Oh, I don't know that one. Okay.
No, canned laughter. It's like when someone enters the room, like when Joey enters, that's canned laugh.
Oh, canned laughter.
What do you think I was saying?
I thought you said candle after.
Yes. The best scent is candle laughter.
Yeah, I get that. I would never want to be in a bad, sulky mood and have somebody burst open the door and be like, friendship, we're so excited, let's go do things. And you're just kind of like, no. But I will say, when I'm in a sulky mood and I'm just watching TV and I'm like, blah, I can get down on a friend showing up and sitting next to me and watching something with me calmly. And that's the thing. If you have good friends, if you pick good friends, they're not going to obtrude and be annoying and be awful to you. The whole point of friends is to supplement your life. It's a mutual relationship that's give and take.
Here's the thing. What people call friendship, and I'm saying this onto myself as well, is really just how much of my own shit can I project onto another person and get away with it. Because the reality is a lot of times we're literally just doing whatever we want around a person that has the same type of tolerance for it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times we do that so much that we forget to really question, hey, what do they like? What do they want? We don't know how to read a room because we're just used to doing things. And a lot of times I deal with people who don't second guess a lot of what they do. They just do. For instance, the other day, you and me, we were out with a group of friends, and I was outside sitting waiting for those group of friends. We had driven a kind of far away to hang out with them. I'm sitting waiting for a table. I'm waiting at a table. I'm waiting at a table for them to get out of the restaurant and then, sit down. We can all eat together. And as soon as they all exit, they sit down at a separate table without even a second mention of, hey, why don't we just go over here? And I was like, the hell, guys? And it was like, oh, well, this table has more chairs. I'm like, and here's a moment where I'm sitting there like, is there something wrong with me? Do I not need to get so up in arms about this? Or are people just going about their business and they're not even thinking wow, hey, I wonder if this guy who just sat alone for maybe 30 minutes.
Holding a table.
Holding
for
a
us,
table.
might want us to sit with him.
Maybe.
But that's the thing, is those are friends. They're not best friends. I am talking friendship level
God.
of friends where you guys are in each other's life constantly, to where you guys can read each other without saying it. Or if that doesn't happen, you can be like, hey, that was shitty when you did that. And they're like, bro, oh my gosh, don't know what I was thinking. You're absolutely right. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again. I'm talking best friendship where you do owe people that. Best friendship where when it's somebody's birthday and they're reposting everybody's stories of wishing happy birthday, you should post one. From your personal account, not the Pink Popcast account. We're calling him out.
I'm sorry. Was I supposed to wish you a happy birthday on my... How many times can I... I mean, I barely want to wish my mom and dad a happy birthday every year, but I do it because they would die inside if I didn't do
Well,
it.
there you go. And that's what friendship is really about, is you care about somebody and you do things to make them happy.
But at any point, do you think to yourself, wow, I might be too needy for a person and I might need too much from them?
Yeah, but then you pull back a little bit.
Right.
I pull back.
So here's the thing.
I just have.
I once was like you, and then the world destroyed me, and now I know better.
See, I guess I'm just a more generally optimistic person because I have lost friends, but you know, there's that golden period where you guys are really vibing and y'all are really, you have the good give and take going. Where
I don't
it's
know
like,
if I want that though anymore. That's the like.
You just don't. I feel like you're just so distrusting of people that you don't trust somebody to like genuinely care about what you want or need.
I feel like it takes a lot of effort, and if I want to get that close with someone, it's going to be somebody that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
You're not spending the rest of your life with your best friend?
That's not guaranteed, man.
It would be if you'd fucking try.
Okay.
No, with that attitude, no, it's not guaranteed.
But here's the thing, though. It's like, I know you don't want to hear me say this, but like, if tomorrow you were like, hey, we're not, well, I mean, it would be weird if you just straight up said, hey, we're not best friends anymore. I'd be like, hey, are we in 9th grade? Like, what is this?
Yeah, you're in her group now.
But, you know, if you pulled back, it would suck. Like, obviously, but the question is, what sucks? Is it because there's plenty of times I think about like my old friendships and I wonder, do I actually miss the person or do I miss the routine familiarity of it? How much of a person do we actually know? And how much of it is just the routine of it all? Like, can we still be okay and still love someone at the same length, even if the routine is different? So, like, if you were to pull back and not hang out with me as much, would you still be my best friend? Would I still consider you my best friend? Would I be okay with, like, letting you go? I feel like after everything I've gone through, I'd probably be a lot more like, oh, that sucks, but I can move on. But, you know, but the main question is like, you know,
would that happen? Is that the question?
I don't know. I think I was like talking myself into a corner.
I
need you to call me out. What are more things that you feel like I owe you?
I feel like you owe me more text messages.
Why?
We should keep in touch. We're best friends. I don't know what's going on with you. I don't ever know what's going on. I feel like
I only text you the amount I text you because I know that if I don't, I will get in trouble. So that's even.
So you text me more than you want to.
Yes. I
appreciate that, and that's friendship.
But like, that's not even enough. You're just like, this isn't enough. I'm like, my least favorite thing that you do is like, I'll be at work, and then you'll randomly text me, hey, we should hang out tonight. And it was never on the agenda at all. And then later that night, I will just go straight to bed, and you'll be like, didn't respond to me. I'm like, that was never something we even agreed to think about.
But I get mad because I go, oh, we should hang out tonight. And either you don't say anything until the next day and go, oh, I was tired and I just went to bed. And I'm like, oh, so it took you 16 hours to say you weren't interested? Or you'll respond and go, yeah, I might be tired. I'll let you know. And then you don't say anything for 16 hours and go, yeah, I was tired. And I'm like, how about you tell me that before I wait 16 hours to see if you want to fucking hang out?
But the thing is, it's like, it hits me. I'm not like, I wasn't mentally prepared for it. So it's just like,
that's absolutely fine. But I would appreciate you just go, oh my gosh, I was totally just planning to go to bed tonight next time.
Well, sometimes but here's the thing. What I'm saying is sometimes I legit forget. And I'm like, oh, I'll let you know.
Don't forget your friends.
Oh my God. All right. What else?
I take things personally.
Apparently. What other things do I owe you?
Let's see. Well, you know, there was a situation a while ago where right now you're working a lot and I completely get it.
Okay, continue.
Do you remember?
Yeah,
You
I do.
remember when we were on quarantine on furlough?
Yeah.
And we weren't working, and I was like, "Hey, man, I only see you once a week when we film. Maybe we should like have another day in the week where we hang out." And you were like, "I'm busy. We probably can't do that." And I'm like, "Bitch, we're not doing anything." Like, what?
I was. So here's the thing. I also compartmentalize. Man, I somebody right now is listening to this and like diagnosing me. They're just like, well, Rizzo is.
I'm sure they're probably diagnosing me way harder because I feel like you probably have better like boundaries than I do, and I'm just like, what? Secrets imply boundaries.
That clip from Teenage Bounty Hunters like killed me. It was like, what? No, I don't like secrets. Secrets imply boundaries.
I was like,
No, I was just.
that doesn't summarize me.
No, okay. So like in that, for instance, there's sometimes where like I don't want to hang out with anybody, but I know I want. It's like for me, I'm just like, okay, my mind is stretched across multiple ways. How can I make this work where what's the term when you make two things work together? It's not just compartmentalizing. It's like I'm saving time or
I don't know.
I think you know what I mean, right?
Where it's like I don't know, where you're like making sure that I don't know.
I'm doubling up my schedule
Mhm.
to make it more efficient. That's what it is. I'm making efficient use of my time. So I'm like, well, I have to hang out with Benji, but we also have to record. Done.
Beautiful.
We'll hang out, record, and that happens once a week.
And that's it, because I only want to see him if I have to record.
Well,
That I'm just telling you how things come off. Like I as a friend, I always am very. I feel like I'm usually proactive with my friends, and I try to. I'm not gonna bend over backwards to make them think that I'm obsessed with them, but I make sure that people know that I care. I
was
guess.
like, where are you going with this?
Yeah, I'm just
you took such a long pause.
because I know that like I'm like so like with like should I use everybody's names? Like with Jess, I feel like when I'm talking to her, also you're really my only male friend. Like so I am gauging on female friendships.
Whoa, what about Chris?
But like Chris is more like me. Like he's straight, but he is a lot more codependent. So
oh shit, we're calling him out?
We're able to like
do I need to bleep these
we're
names?
We're able to text back and forth, and it's like not a big deal.
Oh,
and,
is
we
it though?
Keep in contact.
Is it?
I'll like hit him.
Do I need to call you out on something?
Yeah, well, sometimes it's too much.
Huh? Hey, Chris.
Sometimes I get 80 messages.
Hey, Chris. Do you feel that Benji owes you a response to every one of the TikToks you send him?
I would love to know that. We can talk about that. If I get 80 TikToks, girl, that's a lot.
Seems like somebody doesn't drink the Kool-Aid that they serve. Is that the phrase? Is that what I want to say?
But I will always respond to his text messages. I talk to him when he calls me. We hang out when we have time. So it's like I always try, like if I haven't seen a friend in a while, I always try to reach out. Like just like we don't hang out every day, but I know like our general like, okay, we'll go a week or two, and then like she's reached out to me last time, so I'll make sure I reach out this time.
Okay.
Same with like Krista. Same with Grace. Like I know me and Grace hang out a lot, so I know like if I go like 3 days without saying anything to Grace, I make sure like I absolutely have to say something today.
And you're calling me out because I can go a week to 2 weeks without responding to you?
And not think anything of it. Because I like to say and that's probably my own codependency of worrying about if people are going to get annoyed with me for not talking to them or think that I'm upset with them for not talking to them past a certain amount of time. I think Chris, a lot of times I don't worry about him because I know that I'm not worried about him disliking me. I know that we're right there on the same page with each other. We're like, hey, I got you. But like, like.
Well, I think because the difference is because I've come to a point where I acknowledge some aspects about myself. And for me, it's a lot easier to live life. Understand it like, how do I want to put this where it doesn't sound depressing? Having no expectations for people's desire for me. So like, if someone is like, oh, if I can feel that someone doesn't like me anymore, my brain has already prepared for that. I'm like, oh, okay. It sucks. With certain people, it still sucks. But in other cases, I'm like, okay, I'll just let them process that. Like, I don't, how in movies when a character is like pleading with another character to be like, please just understand. I'm watching that character like, bro, just shut the fuck up. and let them process right now, because clearly you're coming across as like there's never going to be a way they understand. Just let them process it, and then maybe they'll be able to see you in a way that's not so like, you know. And so that's how I've like come about it, where I'm like, I can feel that someone doesn't like me anymore. I just go, okay, I'll just let them process that. It sucks, but like there's times where I'm like, I'll just take a step back and just be like, all right, there's really not much I can do, because I don't want to force them. And a lot of times, like, if they're feeling that, but then they process it and they come back, then it's like, oh, cool. That's great.
So now you want to be friends. No,
But I will say though, I do have an issue when I reach out to someone and then they still don't respond. If we're just like not communicating, you know, like if we don't communicate and it's been a while, I don't really think anything of that. Like I have tons of acquaintances, not even best friends, but like acquaintances that I'm really close with.
Yeah.
Where if they don't respond to me, it's like, yeah, whatever. But if I message them like, hey, how you doing? And it's like
nothing,
no response, I'm like, I am not overwhelming you with text.
With my one text this month.
One text after 2 months, you couldn't possibly find a way to respond to me? The nerve. That's when I get really like...
Well, it's funny because that's how I feel when I'm like, I haven't texted you in 3 days and you can't respond to me? It's just, it's a... what
varying
is it?
degrees.
It's a spectrum. Like everybody is somewhere on this expectation of friendship spectrum. But I will say...
What will you say?
I from a best friendship, I do expect a lot. And I know a lot of times a lot of my friends tend to be the same way, or they tend to like, they're like, aha, that's cute. And they'll put up with it. And I will say you have challenged me to be like, what is necessary for a friendship, and also to just really consider not imposing my own will upon somebody, and not being all like, you have to hang out with me every day, you have to respond to me, like you have to do this or that, and not like have to, but like
right,
you should want to, and why isn't this way? And like I've had to rethink a lot of that, because I think as far as friendships go, as far as best friendships go, you're definitely one of the more different, like that I've had. Like I've had friends that like we see differently on things, but like as far as like fundamentally
the way we process things,
how we like process
the
how
fact
we
that you want
interact
to keep
with
your
world.
The fact you want to keep your clone and I want to kill my clone.
Exactly. Like fundamentally different. And that's like, I think that's the first like opposite friendship, because you would think Grace would be that friendship for me,
right?
But we actually are very similar when it comes down to it.
Well, I will say too, because it's like, I mean, the irony is that I have to. This is less a debate and more of like a full-on discussion.
Yeah,
but
look at that. Okay.
Huh. But because for me, I have to question myself. If we're gonna get real deep here and real honest, I have to question myself and make sure I'm not imposing my own will on somebody, and that it's not. Because there's sometimes where I think I'm better because I don't need to be what I consider codependent, and because I can disconnect from people, because that is a pattern that kind of came up in me when I realized that is what other people would do to me, and it would make me feel powerless. So I have to question my own like instincts to almost go in a narcissistic route, which is like, no, I can cut you off.
Yeah.
And that's an issue that I've noticed a lot when it comes to certain friendships. If I feel someone is being too, in my words, clingy, it reminds me of what I hate in myself, and then I cut them off.
Yeah.
And it's like, and there's something kind of like, it feels bad saying this, but it's like, there's like a pleasure in it where it's like, haha,
I win.
I win,
no,
even though there's nothing to be won. And I first noticed this when it came to women that found me attractive that I didn't find attractive, and I could cut them off, and it was like, I don't need you. And you know, I went about without realizing that was a personality like flaw,
big flaw.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was there until I really started within the past until I dated someone that I thought might be narcissistic. Hopefully they're not listening to this.
Listen, bitch, we're not editing these, so I'm not going to call your name out, but I would have if we were still editing these.
The irony was I was looking into like, dating someone with narcissistic personality disorder. And I was reading through it and I was like, there's a lot of things that I share. I do this.
Buddy, I'm sorry. Like, I'm trying to call out a narcissist Oh my God, it's
God.
me.
But honestly, because at the beginning of this year, before even COVID started, there was just a perfect storm of kind of some really eye-opening things that happened that revealed to me just how calloused I had become to like friendships or relationships, and how I would switch off to be like, no.
Yeah, well, I mean, you missed my birthday 2 years in a row, so that was a while ago.
The first one
You were working,
and the fact that I have to even defend it each time, that's infuriating. Get over it. You know how many birthdays I've had people miss?
See, that's always your excuses. People did this to me, so you have to get over it.
Well,
I'm like, but I'm like,
yes.
when I'm like, people did this to me, so I won't do it to you is my thing.
Well, that's nice.
That is a healthy way to look at things. Especially also because you're like,
but
I feel like you grade a lot on a curve of like friends of mine have done this, whereas like I'm grading on the curve of what do I expect from a best friend? And that's the main reason why I get tripped up a lot of times with you is I'm like, well, I guess he doesn't owe me this. And I'm like, no, he said last week that I am his best friend and he better fucking respond in the next hour or you better be in the goddamn hospital. Do you know how many times I think to myself, this is the shit that I have to work on.
Oh my
With,
God.
like, if you don't respond for a while, and I'm like, you better be in the fucking hospital. And then I'm like, no, you don't want that. He's working. It's fine.
Or I'm just ignoring it for a second. You have to be okay with that too.
No,
but
I
will say
do
though,
it too. It's fine.
I will say though, the few times I've felt it from you, it's weird, and that's when I really have to call out the narcissism. Where I'm like, wait a minute, don't do that. I'm like, Benji, he's just doing to you what you need sometimes, which is like, what the weirdest is the few times I'm like, hey, do you want to come over? And you go, no, I'm okay. And I'm like, no, you're okay. You always say yes to stuff.
That's what I'm wondering. What if I said, no, I'm okay?
There have been a few times. And those times, I'm less hard on myself because I'm like, I feel like it's just more like the pattern.
It's like,
where it's like
you broke the pattern. Like,
I'm like, wait, that's weird. I'm like, I set a precedent for being unreliable, but you don't.
You're old trusty over here.
But I will say though, that's when it challenges me. When I react to that, I'm like, whoa, calm your knickers down. Knickers. I should not use the word knickers.
Calm your niggas down.
I just used that word unironically, and I forgot that it just sounds so.
Oh no, absolutely.
K-N-I-K knickers.
I don't know.
K-N-I-C-K-E-R-S.
No. It's
like boxers.
N-I.
No, stop it.
But yeah, no, I was about to make that joke if you didn't call it out.
Okay, good. Grace would tell me that I should edit that part out.
No, leave it. It's funny. Yeah.
What else? Okay, so
I think
we're at an emotional. We found a balance.
We found a balance,
but
we
now
challenged each other to look at things the other way.
But before we like move on, there's got to be one other thing that you. Oh,
what?
I know what it is.
What? Bring it up.
You need to be able to watch things on your own.
Oh, you need to be able to wait for me to watch things. I understand. I know that I'm fairly unreasonable about that.
he's like, I know that I'm fairly unreasonable about that.
So yeah, that is one that I definitely have to pull myself back from a lot because you'll watch something.
Well, because here's the thing, too. It's not like I'm purposely going out of my way.
I know, except for in the case.
No, and that's the thing, too, because you have this thing where it's like he should know because we're best friends.
That's what I'm saying. Is like there's certain types of shows like Teenage Bounty Hunters where it's like I in my head would think that I wouldn't even have to say something because obviously that seems like something we would watch together. And so why would you watch it without me?
You know, here's the thing. Here's the irony, and this is when I question whether or not I'm being shitty and narcissistic, or I'm just like, no, he should just voice his opinion. I had the slightest inkling.
And then you were like, nah.
I was like, well, if you really wanted, he would tell me. I had the slightest inkling you wanted us to watch it together, but I was like, he didn't say it.
You did.
He said something passively.
He did know.
I just do not. I'm like, if someone needs to tell me something, and then I will listen to it.
I know that. More or less. I'm working on that, being more vocal, because I'm like, I can't necessarily hold you to certain things without having said it out loud, even though I'm like, I know he knows better, which clearly you do, because you said it. But there was the time when like you kept going and seeing movies without me because I won't go see a movie by myself.
We saw Maleficent together.
That makes me so mad. Oh my god.
What movie did I see without you?
So it was a point
Don't
where
you
no,
don't
no,
you
no,
fucking say Incredibles 2 because I invited you, Chris, and Joel to that.
No. I'm not bringing that up. There was a time where you were going and seeing a lot of movies a lot of people were, but mainly you because you were my main like movie partner at the time. So I was like, oh my gosh, like we were talking about something. We were going to see something.
Oh,
I was
kid
like,
who would be king.
yeah, and I was like,
I-
like you should. I like, oh, you saw this without me. I was like, well, I want to see more movies with you, and you keep seeing things I want to see, and you're like, oh, well, if you would just tell me, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then we passed a Boy Who Would Be King poster, and I was like, I want to see that. And you were like, okay. A week later, he's like, hey, have you seen Boy Who Would Be King? It was great. And I was like super pissed. Now that was
I feel
probably
bad.
a fluke.
No, I feel bad because I legit did not remember you saying that.
And I remember because well, thank goodness Grace was there because we would have probably been arguing for a while about it. But I was like, are you kidding me? I literally said I want to see that after you told me. And you were like, no, you didn't. And I was like, yeah, I fucking did. And then Grace was like, no, I remember that. So that would be.
Let's just put it this way. Obviously, when you voice something to me, I won't go out of my way and watch it. But like, you have to be okay if I've watched the first episode without you, like, and then
that's fine.
Then I'll be like,
I'm absolutely fine.
I'm like, we should watch this, and you're like, no, I need to see it completely fresh with someone who's seen it fresh. I'm like, why?
Nah, but it's when
Why?
you've seen everything but the last episode, and you're like, oh, well, I'll finish it with you, and I'm like, game over. But like, no, if you want to start something and see the first episode and go, we should watch that together, and then stop it, completely fine. I respect that.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that is something that I have been all like, you need to be able, because I love watching things by myself, but I think it's so much more fun to watch certain shows with people that I know will enjoy them. So
Yeah.
like, and I am like broken as far as like, if I watch the first episode of something with somebody and we just happen to casually like be like, oh yeah, let's watch this, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And we watch it, I literally will like not watch it until I'm with them again. Like compulsively, I cannot watch it until I'm with them again. So I'm like, that is probably.
I will say though, I used to have that, and that was another thing where people would just like, I'd want to experience something with someone, and they would experience it without me, and I'd be mad. But then I just was like, it broke a little bit part of me where it's like it's less about like, oh, it's fine. It just was like, well, I guess it is okay. Like,
yeah.
Unless I like explicitly said, because I'm very big. Like, if we've made plans, like actual set in stone plans, and I break my word on it,
I feel like that's always your ace in the hole where you're like, well, we didn't make that plan.
It is
like,
my ace in the hole.
And like, you knew better.
All right.
I think
We're going to hit an impasse.
I think the impasse is that we just know that we just got to keep meeting in the middle there.
Let's just
agree to try to preemptively not piss the other person off. Yeah? Can we both do that?
Yeah, you say
Can
we?
some of us continue to do that while others of us start?
All right. Well, if you guys like what you're hearing, this is our podcast. We debate things.
It was this was less of a debate about friends and more of a debate about friendship.
Ugh. Ew. That got
Oh
right
my
underneath
gosh.
my skin, and not in
Yeah,
a good way.
That was the point.
If you like what you're hearing, you can always subscribe to us. You should subscribe to us. Or Benji, what are you going to do?
Or I'm going to run you down in the streets.
Jesus.
And I didn't mean run you over with I mean literally like chase you down in the
okay.
streets and take your phone and subscribe for you.
Okay, that sounded really dark at first.
For a second, I was like, that didn't come out right.
Okay, so that's what's going to happen there. Subscribe, click the bell for notifications on your YouTube page. But you can also listen to us wherever you listen to your podcast. So Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud,
all those places. And
Google.
Follow us on all social media at Pink Popcast.
It's Pop with a P.
We didn't already say that, right?
I don't remember.
We might have. Okay, but yeah. And then make sure to watch our reaction videos too.
Oh, yeah. What do we have? What do we have coming up this week?
We've got Love Guaranteed.
That's right. So it was that fun little Netflix romantic comedy that we tear apart. But we loved it.
Yeah.
Or did we?
That might be what our videos are, is us tearing apart movies that we love.
I know. I mean,
because like that's literally, I was watching it and I was like, I feel like people are going to think we hate it.
No,
we
had a great time.
It's a great time.
It's like we're like those people who complain the entire time, like, God, they hated it. No, we loved it.
No, I loved it. I would
Really?
never. Well, that's another conversation.
Another conversation for another day.
Anyways,
Subscribe.
see you later.
Bye.
Bye.